I found Dee exactly when I was meant to. She popped up in my For You page. So over on Instagram, I had put out my energetic tentacles to find a fertility expert. I really had. I started IVF a couple of months or several months in advance, and I really wanted to clean my body up, clean the energetics up before I allowed the medical system to touch me, and was sort of looking for a women's wellness coach that had some focus in fertility, and literally Dee popped up in my Instagram explore and loved her vibe, loved her energy, started to follow her, and then loved her content, then needed her, and so booked her. No brainer. The thing that has surprised me the most about Fertility Magic is that it has nothing to do with fertility. And I was at Dee literally from the second week saying, you have got to drop the name fertility almost and work with every single woman on earth, because every woman deserves to feel this good. And what I learned is, for me and Dee ultimately, but in my own health experience on this protocol, it's just the healthiest I've ever been, and the happiest and the most magnetic and the most well I have ever felt. So what surprised me was inadvertently becoming the most fertile was also actually just being the healthiest I've ever been. And so I know that sounds ironic in a sense, like that surprised you, but it's like, yeah, it really did, because my experience in society is that most stories that I'd heard was like, just relax, we got drunk and had sex and then we were pregnant. And I'm like, amazing. And that didn't get to be my experience, and that's okay. And so I was led to this program. And as I said, to be the most fertile, the gift was, wow, I actually also just got to be the healthiest, most radiant, most magnetic, most well I have ever been in my whole life. And so although the objective was to trust in my body that I had the capacity to hold on to that egg at IVF transfer, the gift along the way is like, worst case scenario is I'm in the best shape and health of my life. The biggest thing for me, like within 2 weeks, I was like, as a businesswoman and a CEO of multiple companies, I was like, Dee, every woman on earth needs to have an experience with you, needs to do a level of protocol with you. But what I've learned in my experience as a businesswoman is the capacity and the nervous system regulation at which I can hold what I now can hold has changed dramatically. And also, I believe there's a level of magnetism that I've never held before. Right now, I am gluten-free, dairy-free, I'm lots of things free, alcohol-free, and it has allowed me to be this really clear vessel. It's the only way that I can explain it as a businesswoman, to receive and allow more abundance and more magnetism to flow into my life like I've never experienced before, ever. So the gift I see in Dee's work is, to be honest, more manifestation of magnetism, if I may, in my experience, whilst becoming the healthiest you've been, which allows you as a woman in general, but especially as a woman in business, when you have to hold more, and a mum, I'm about to be on that journey. But to me, businesses are babies. And so when you are stressed, when you are required, the stretchiness and the capacity that is demanded of you is a lot. And for me, I have been able to anchor into this level of just like peace and wellness and capacity like I've never had before, whilst also, having clarity on things like I've never had clarity before, being able to, I've shed a lot of things as well. Like, it cracks you open, and when you are well, when you are truly well, there is just nothing like it on earth. And that's what I've experienced with this. So for me with Dee, the protocol, the physicality of it is phenomenal, but the energetics underlaying it is what I think has really changed my life in a really big way, especially as a businesswoman. My experience with Dee as a coach, and this is the most important thing to me as a woman who lives with huge integrity, is that you cannot tell me who you are, you have got to show me. And the number one thing, I already knew this is why I picked her. When I was looking for a coach for fertility, yes, she had 2 kids, so that was a tick. But I want to see a woman that's thriving mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. You can't just tick our box. I want to see all 4 ticked. And you can't tell me that in your reels and your carousels and your sound bites and your testimonials even. I need to see that as a living embodiment. I absolutely trusted that from what I could see with Dee, but then obviously working with her very closely in one-on-one or 2-on-1 with my partner, it's just that on steroids. steroids. So it's the greatest thing that I have learned working with Dee as a coach is that she is who she says she is, and she yields you the results she says she will get you. And she is just the living embodiment of the truth that she coaches. And that is the most important thing to me when I'm going to work with a coach.
I came across her on social media, and it was through a friend of mine who was following her. And I don't know, the algorithm these days, you talk about the right things and the right people show up. So yeah, Dee popped into my life that way. So when I decided to work with Dee, I was just in a space where I didn't really know what else to do, where to go. Yeah, I wasn't obviously feeling very good in my body, and I really was looking for someone to help me, but in a more aligned, holistic way that felt right, really. Someone to give me the answers as to how to achieve the best health possible, basically. And I didn't know if that person existed. I'd tried so many different things. So when I found Dee, it was like, oh, this magic person does exist. Yeah, she had all the answers, really. So I guess the outcome for me was just I wanted to feel the very best in my body, and I wanted to feel connected to my body. I feel like I spent so many years hating my body and being really frustrated with the way I felt when I ate certain things or the energy levels I had, all of that. And I just wanted to feel like I could live a normal life in the healthiest way possible, that I could wake up in the morning feeling energized and, seize the day and have the energy to do that. To coach with Dee, the very first phone call I had with Dee, I had actually just, when I first signed with her, just answered one of her polls on Instagram. She was asking some questions and I'd answered a couple, and then she jumped into my DMs and we were just having a chat, basically. And I remember her saying, no pressure, no phone calls or anything like that. We were going back and forth. And then eventually she was like, actually, are you free? Do you want to jump on a phone call? It's like, yeah, okay. And I feel like just on the phone for 5 minutes with Dee, I felt like I had all the answers myself, almost just from talking with her. It just felt really aligned and really clear. So yeah, it was amazing. I guess there was nothing that really surprised me. If anything, it was just like, oh, consistency does make a difference. Yeah, it was just following through, being really consistent and doing all of the things gave me what I wanted. We're roughly in month 3 with Dee's protocol at the moment. And I guess what's changed for me the most is my energy levels. I feel like beforehand, I was almost like dragging my body around with me everywhere I went. Whereas now I wake up in the morning and I'm ready to go. I don't drag myself out of bed anymore. So the energy is probably the main thing that's changed for me. But just in general, everyone I see daily is like, oh my God, you look amazing. Like, you're glowing. Thank you. Well, I guess it matters to me as a mum because I have a 9-year-old daughter. She's got a lot of energy and I just didn't want to be that mum that was like boring and, couldn't keep up with her. I wanted to be able to run around with her, do the things with her that she wanted to do and feel excited by life. Yeah, I didn't want to feel old, and aging now means that I can keep up with her and I feel younger, if anything. Like I'm in my 40s now, and before I jumped on board with Dee, I was really stuck on my age. Like turning 40 felt like a really pivotal moment and everything was kind of going downhill from there. And now I feel better than I did in my 30s. So yeah, it's amazing. I feel like this has really rippled into every area of my life. I feel like I'm just more confident showing up. I feel better in my skin. So even just, getting dressed for a night out or something, I'm not in the mirror picking myself apart and it's more just that internal feeling. Like I look at myself and I'm like, yep, good to go. I don't really care what I look like because I feel amazing. So I feel like it's just every part of my life is kind of feels the same. I can't recommend Dee enough, really. I just feel like I wish I had found her in my 30s rather than my 40s because I feel like I would have had an extra 10 years of vitality. But I mean, I'm happy I found her when I did.
So I found Dee, we work through the same networking company. So I listened to a podcast that she was co-host on. So I started following Dee on Instagram. She reached out just to say hi, lovely to connect. We got chatting and long story short, I just finished a round of IVF, unsuccessful implantation. It all aligned in the perfect timing to meet Dee, and after lots of discussions, we jumped on a call and we knew that we needed for our baby to come through to go through a protocol so that we were at our 100% healthiest that we could be. My first impression of Dee was I needed her work. I needed her assistance to help us fall pregnant as we weren't having any success in our IVF journey. A lot of things surprised me working with Dee, the way in which she supports you through the program, but also the way in which what foods we eat for our hormones, especially for women's health. Not only women's health, but also myself myself and my wife's journey for IVF, especially with regulating my hormones and the types of food to help support hormone regulation, especially in women. We not taught that at school. So that was definitely a big surprise because I'm 28, so all of this was quite new to me, and actually like learning more about my body than I have in the 28 years that I've been in my body. Dee, as a coach, is magical, approachable, very down to earth, very trustworthy, and always uplifting. Just her energy, being in that space, is contagious. Doing this work and doing this program for the last 5 months, I'm the healthiest, the happiest that I have been in a long time. And especially doing our IVF, going through all the hormones, also take a toll mentally and physically. The back of the end of this program is I'm the healthiest, happiest. My mindset is clearer. So since doing this protocol with Dee, not only has my health improved, but my love for myself has improved, which also ripples into other relationships, whether that is my wife, whether that is friends. I'd say also would be a big shift would be my mindset on how I see things in a different lens than the lenses that I was seeing through the last 28 years. So I started working with Dee after our 5th round of IVF was unsuccessful, and we had gotten to the point that how many more cycles can we go on, both for our physical and mental health. So when we found Dee, it was just a no-brainer to do this 5-month protocol, work on our overall health that supports, yes, fertility, but also our general health as well.
I found Dee online through a podcast with Anna Rose. I did know her through a previous business. That really spoke to me, the podcast. I was just had this thing that I just had to work with her. Just how authentic and real she was. There was just something in me that I just knew that I had to work with her. Just her energy, I think, and how I just felt like she's really going to get the results that I'm after. What made me decide to work with Dee was just health issues that I had. So I had migraines for 7 years that I'd worked with like so many other people to get to the bottom of. I'd done heaps of cleanses and detoxes and just other bloods and stuff. Could never get to the bottom of it. And I was basically just sick of being in the pain of it. They just seemed to be getting worse. And hormonal stuff. So they were, I thought, were mainly related to hormones. But since I have also realised there's other stuff as well. But it was overall health for me and to be a better mum. So I am doing the fertility magic, but it wasn't purely to fall pregnant. I know that there is another spirit baby waiting to come in, and I wanted to be the healthiest if we decide for that to happen, the healthiest for that, and then also for our 3 other kids, me and my partner, to be the best parents, to have the most energy and emotionally available for them as well. What it's like to coach with Dee, yeah, amazing. She just gets you, and she just has the right questions that makes you really think in a way that you wouldn't normally have seen things. Really, really enjoyed it. And she's been, a lot different to anything else that I have done before. Like even going into the program, there was a lot more in it that I didn't even realize was included in the program, which I was just like above and beyond. Like I thought like, yep, what I'm paying for is amazing. But then when I got in there, I was like, gosh, and it's just like the way it's everything's laid out is just makes it so easy to follow. I feel like I don't have to reach out to her all the time. Like it's sort of all done for you. So really enjoying it. How she's different. So I think energetically, just because she is so in tune and aligned, it's almost like she picks up what you're about to say or what's coming up before you even say it. So she's sort of like got the next thing to question you with, get you that little bit deeper. So because she's got the physical stuff, like all the detoxing and things like that, she's so knows that so well, but also with the energetics, it lines up so well. So I think that's really her magic power. I feel a lot calmer, a lot more energy. The migraines have lessened a lot, and some months I haven't had any, which is like that in itself. When that happened, I remember messaging her going, oh my God, I didn't think it would happen so quick. Even within the first few days, like the inflammation, like my skin was so much clearer within the first few weeks. I think it was like week 5. I was like, get much better. And it just keeps getting better. I just feel even I'm just more in tune, like I can connect to source and stuff a lot easier. Like I just feel clearer and more connected, and that's what I was kind of after. Definitely rippled out to others in my family, like so my kids obviously as well, because I do have more energy. I can be more playful with them, all that sort of thing. I'm more connected, and definitely my partner and I are more connected, and I see a difference in him as well. Like he's just on a different level, like, more open to things and planning different things now, like that we probably would have like delayed, whereas things are a lot like happening a lot quicker. So other people have been giving me compliments like on my skin, because that was a big thing for me. So they're really noticing that, but also like my inflammation, my confidence as well. And like I'm just more energized too.
I found Dee on Instagram. I was just scrolling the explore page. One of her reels popped up and I think I started following her. And then she reached out to me and we started a conversation in our DMs, and it kind of started from there. What was going on with me at the time? So we had a kind of 4-year journey to conceive our daughter, and we ended up going through IVF, and we're kind of back in that secondary infertility stage, but feel very called to do things differently this time round. And we've made the decision not to go down the IVF path this time round. So this kind of felt like the next step for us to optimize our chances, basically, to expand our family. I think she's very responsive. I feel like she's always available. I've worked with specialists in the past who take about 6 days to get back to an email if I've got a quick query about a supplement or something. So I feel like being time sensitive to a lot of my like just random queries instead of having to put it in an email or wait a week for a response has been really helpful to get that kind of online support. Just her general energy and I think level of optimism as well. I feel like when you're going through a fertility journey, you need someone to be that beacon of hope, because sometimes you can't hold it for yourself and you will go through periods where it can feel dark, it can feel heavy, it can feel hopeless. So to have like a cheerleader or someone in your corner that can still hold that beacon for you when it's feeling dark and heavy, I think is really important. A lot of practitioners that I've worked, because I've been there, I've done a lot of work with a lot of different practitioners. She feels more like a coach or like your bestie, but still has that level of professionalism as well. And I feel like that kind of warmth is important, and just holding that beacon, not just being that very clinical, having gone through IVF as well, like everything's very clinical and very transactional, but this is a human experience. And so having that level of humanity and warmth, I think, is really important. It's very hard to continuously hold that hope for yourself, especially when the journey is longer than you've anticipated or harder than you've anticipated. I think without the hope, there's no moving forward. So to have someone holding that for you when you can't do it yourself, I think is really, really important. And I think that's what's really special about her. I think for us, the reason we decided not to go down IVF, firstly, there's no guarantees. Our particular story, there's some elements that are out of our control completely. But for us, there's no guarantees with IVF, as there's no definite guarantees with this program either. However, the way we viewed it, going down the IVF path, having done it before, I came out the other side in a deficit. That's just the nature. Luckily, I at the time knew a lot about health and nutrition and all those sorts of things. So I was able to do that, but you don't get that. And it's very medicalized. And for me, I then successfully went straight into a pregnancy, but I felt like I was entering that pregnancy in a deficit, even though I'd done a lot of optimization work in the 4 years leading up to that. However, with this program, even though there's no guarantees on the other side, I'm not going to come out in a deficit. I'm going to come out the other side. We're both coming out other side as optimized as possible, and probably in like, feeling the most vital we ever have. And so regardless, it feels like we're coming out winning. For me, having a daughter, the longevity thing is a big part for me. And I feel like if we were already, there's some parameters for us that could be better, even though we didn't have any clinical diagnoses or anything like that. But to really focus just from a longevity point of view and a health optimization point of view, to be like, quote unquote, the best versions of ourselves and to feel the most vital, like the healthiest we've ever been, is so important for us, just full stop, baby or no baby at the other side. So I think that was the discerning difference for us by doing this. For me, because it was such a long time to conceive our daughter, and then she came in like a wrecking ball, bless her, and postpartum was really challenging for us. We kind of lost our way. A lot of people sort of lose their way a bit. And I think for us, it's been really beneficial to come and be doing this together. It's something that's kind of brought us together. And instead of me individually focusing on, this and him focusing on that, we've been able to do something together, which has been, I think, really invaluable. And just having, I guess, the structure of a program for me, just the little practices like the nervous system regulation and stuff, which was stuff that I would always do pre-becoming a mum. Just having those little reminders and integrating that back in for myself has really helped my nervous system. And I think that's the most important thing, because that's where my big piece is for me, is just that nervous system regulation. So of course, I was already eating well, like moving well, doing all those bits, but the nervous system regulation has been really, just to have those little practices back and integrated back in my life has been really good. That's been a big changer. Yeah. I think the ripple effect, I'm a big believer in energy, a training homeopath. So I do really understand like energy medicine and just energy in general. And I definitely think like when you make a decision to go all in on something, like it can't not have a ripple effect. So I definitely have noticed, I think just in terms of my belief with my future studies and then future career change into homeopathy, for example, like I feel like there's just a level of certainty with that now because I feel more regulated within myself. So that would be one example. But definitely I think, the nervous system I think of a mother is a nervous system of the family. And so I definitely feel like, my daughter definitely seems more regulated because I'm more regulated. And then it has a knock-on effect that, our whole family, even our puppy, is less crazy since we've done the program. So yeah.
I found Dee through social media. I was in a bit of a desperate place and I just felt like something really clicked when I read through a bit about her protocol and just felt really led to like reach out to her. And I guess my husband and I were in a place where our health was a bit of a flatline and we're doing the same thing over and over again without a different result. And so that's what I guess led me to reach out to Dee to just make a dramatic change in our life. So my experience of Dee is just warmth and like genuine friendliness and happiness. She's like very well spoken, very knowledgeable. She's sort of like a big sister, I guess. So something that surprised me was I've actually lost a lot of weight. I've lost about 10 kilos in 3 months. That was not the goal of what I'm doing with the program, but I guess it's a bit of a perk. I probably wouldn't have ever done this on my own. You can have the tools to equip yourself to do it on your own, but this really like gave me that kick and that drive to pursue and really bite the bullet and continue.